ahead and finish the examples we didn't get to in class, such as example 4 and also example 6, in case any of you need extra practice. So for example 4, it says the population of the United States in 1994 was about 260 million, with an average annual rate of increase of about 7%. So this is our initial amount. So this would be our A variable. The rate of increase is 7%, so this would be our R variable. Now we do need to change that to a decimal, which would be 0.007, since it's 0.7%. Remember to find that R value, you can either move your decimal 2 spaces over to the left, or you could also divide by 100. Part A asks us to find the growth rate for that year. The growth rate is our B variable, which can be found by adding 1 to the rate of increase. So we would get 1.007. Part B asks us, suppose that the rate of growth had continued to be 0.7%, write a function that models this population growth. So we would be writing a function that is in exponential form, A times B to the x power. Substituting in our A, which is 260 million, which was our initial population, and we're going to multiply by the growth factor, 1.007 to the x power. And then this equation could be used to predict population in future years. Now we do need to stipulate what x is. So x is going to be the number of years after the initial year, 1994. So the number of years after 1994. On part 1 of the video, I was able to go through example 5, following the steps up here, okay, which is to write an exponential function when given 2 points on the graph. So I'm going to go through example 6. Same directions, writing an exponential function, given that our 2 points are 1, 6, which will be again x, y, as well as 0, 2. So we'll start with the general form, and we're going to plug in one of the points. It doesn't matter which one you plug in. I'm going to plug in point 1. So I'm going to plug in 6 for y and 1 for x. Again, I'm going to solve this for A. So to solve for A, undo multiplication with division. So I'll divide both sides by B, getting me A equals 6 divided by B. You're going to rewrite the equation for standard form, or you could also think of just plugging this back in for A up here. So we'll get y equals 6 divided by B times B to the x. So now my equation is all in terms of B and x. I no longer have an A variable, which is going to help me to solve for B. Now I'll take and plug in my second point. So I'll plug in 2 for y, and I'll plug in 0 for x. Now we have b to the 0 power. Remember, anything to the 0 power is always 1. So this is really just 2 equals 6b times 1, which doesn't do anything. So then from here, I'll need to solve for b. So I'll multiply both sides by b to get 2b equals 6, and then divide by 2 to get b is equal to 3. Okay, so my final end goal is to get the values of a and b and plug them into our exponential format. So to figure out what a is, I'm going to take my b value, plug it back into my a equals formula. And we'll get a is 2. So my equation would be 2 times 3 to the x. Now our graphing calculator has the ability to do this for us. So using the graphing calculator, we can go to our stat menu. There we go. we want to go to our edit screen, and we're actually going to input numbers for the ordered pairs. So I'm going to clear out my L1 and my L2. And if I want to check example 6 in my calculator, I'm going to put in 1 and 0 for L1, because those are the x coordinates. In L2, I'll put the y coordinates, which are 6 and 2. Just like we did linear regressions and quadratic regressions, we're going to do an exponential regression. So we will press Stat, arrow to calculate, and I will either arrow all the way down to 0, or if you arrow up, it'll get either a little bit faster. We want to go to option 0, which stands for exponential regression. We're going to hit enter one time. It brings me back to my main screen. I'm going to hit enter again for it to run the program. And you can see A is 2, B is 3. A is 2, B is 3. That checks. Okay, you could also check the first one, example 5, which I did on the last video, by typing in those values, stat edit. This time I'll type in 2 and 3 for the x values. Make sure you do put them in the same corresponding order, 4 and 16, and stat, calculate, option 0 for exponential regression, and hit enter. And notice we did get 0.25, which whenever we did this problem, we did get 1/4, which is 0.25 times b, which is 4 to the x. So again, for your notes, remember we did press stat, edit, and we input x and y values. And then we chose stat, calculate, exponential regression. And you have to hit enter 2 times. And that's it for our section 8.1 day 1. Your homework assignment is to complete the worksheet number 1.